Hello, everybody, and
Why, hello.
welcome to Roll for Beer.
Mm-mm-mm,
Mm, mm, mm,
mm-mm-mm,
mm,
mm-mm-mm,
mm, mm, mm.
mm-mm-mm. We can cut that part out. It's fine.
Wait, no, we were keeping that in now.
Oh,
Okay, no.
I
But we need like some kind of theme song to start us off.
well,
As I go to mute my phone, that I totally 100% muted before this call started.
it'll be
It's
okay.
muted.
The busty bears of beer drinking.
The buzz.
Look, look. I got a dad bod. I'm not hiding
Yeah,
it. It's
no,
fine.
I'm working on getting rid of my dad bod that I had.
It's fine. You don't have children weighing you
I
down every
don't.
time you want to do that.
No, no,
It's the excuse I'm going to stick with.
and you know what? You are allowed to do that.
Tig old biddies. But you know what? It's been one of those. It's been a little while. How are you, my friend?
I am good. For those who are joining on the podcast, we're just starting to record in January again, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Previous episodes were obviously before the 2023, but no, it's been good. It's
If
been
you're
a very crazy year
if you're
already.
catching this on YouTube, or if you'd like to see what we look like, this is the episode that marks where you can see every single one of James's pores.
Yes, he's got a brand new camera and it's very exciting.
So much glass.
Oh,
You know what else I need?
mm,
Beer.
beer. You're
It,
right.
it is
So
time.
it
I'm
is
gonna
time.
roll. I'm gonna roll a lot of dice because it sounds better.
Fair.
But
I'm only going to roll one, but I'm going to throw it into a glass because
I'm also throwing mine into a glass. But
oh
I'm
god,
rolling
how
a
what?
D6 today to see
Same here.
what we're drinking.
One, two, three, four,
Two,
five,
three.
six.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Five.
All right. So for tonight, I have by Apex
Ooh.
Brewing. I have their Apex Brewing Lager, and the can art is phenomenal.
Their
I should probably put it by my head so it stays in focus. But
their new can art is freaking phenomenal. Um, just so you know, their art is now done by the same company that does Driftwood Brewing out of
hmm,
Victoria, BC.
nice.
Um, I don't know the name of that company, but they make the most bitching freaking artwork I've ever seen. Like, yeah.
They might have it somewhere here. Oh no. So Apex Brewing comes out of Yellowhead County in Alberta. Um, out in the middle of nowhere, and we'll give it a go. What do you have tonight?
Tonight I have the Jongleur
The
wit beer.
Jongleur?
The Jongleur. This is from one of my favorite breweries out of Vancouver, Strange Fellows Brewing.
Mhm.
They make some funky, weird stuff, and they've got a lot of barrel aged kind of things. But the Jongleur,
Jongleur.
very weird
Hey,
art on their stuff.
as an aside, our Stream Elements bot actually kicked in for YouTube now. I fixed it. I haven't had a chance
Yay!
to try it out yet, and it's it's a little chunky, but it works. So you can send the character commands into it now.
Oh, nice.
All right, you ready?
A little chunky. Yep.
3, 2,
Two,
1.
one. Ah.
Right on the mic. God damn it. There it is.
And just a quick thing about this beer and a lot of other beers. Oh gosh, I poured that way too fast. Oh, that was bad pour.
A little
Minus
head goes a
five
long way.
points to Riley. But this beer, and in general with a lot of other wits, you want to do something for the best flavor, quote unquote. You want to stir the can about halfway through the pour. The
Oh.
reason is because there are so many different kind of um I want to just sediment and
Mhm.
other things like that, yeast sediments, etc., that you just want to spin, change, and pour.
Yeah.
And the reason is so that you get all of that kind of lovely color. So, like, there's the color there currently. Just going to finish pouring about half of it.
I'm not gonna lie, for the people, listening at home, it looks like the color after a bad night of drinking.
Yes, but I'm going to stir the can, stir the can, stir the can, stir the can, and again, I need to get new glassware. Since my move to uh, Alberta, I haven't gotten new glassware. It's a little hard to tell, but it's a lot cloudier, a lot more
Mhm.
fuller looking.
We need to get you a stein of some kind.
I do need a stein. Mm.
So, what's it taste like? And what is
Oh,
it that you're
it's
drinking? Hmm.
a wit beer. So basically, a type of wheat beer. This is wonderful. Like I'm getting oranges, a little bit of clove, like a little bit of that kind of kitcheny spice flavor.
This reminds me of um beef barley soup.
What type of beer is it? A lager?
It's a lager. It's a heavily barleyed lager, and it's very savory. It is very sorry, the umami,
The umami.
another word for savory.
It
Fight
is.
me.
No, 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 that's fair. That's fair. Okay, yeah,
Ah,
that's a little
but,
high.
not bad. I think I could drink 6 of those sitting in a lawn chair next to a lake.
Oh
Be
yeah,
alright.
easily.
Yep.
Easily. And yeah, no, this is one of my favorites from uh Strange Fellows. They just
Mm,
make some fantastic stuff. And yeah, just very happy. I went back to BC for the holidays, just for a few days.
mhm.
Worst traveling in my life. Oh my god.
That'll teach you.
That will teach me to ever fly again during winter. But I picked up a bunch of other beers from BC because again, my home province, and it was just nice to pick up like a bunch of beers from when I had worked in the industry out in BC.
Mhm.
But if we're talking about BC, BC has some really nice tap water. Did you know that?
Having grown up in BC and the mountains,
Mhm.
I am aware.
Yeah, very different than Calgary's tap water, and it's a little hard out here. But that
Yeah.
brings up a little bit of a topic that is one of the ones that I wrote down, and I totally did not forget that I had written down somewhere that
Mhm.
James did not remind me about, but of course he did because James is a very organized person compared to me. But anyway, uh,
Spreadsheets.
James is like a spreadsheet master, and I'm always amazed when I see these spreadsheets. But anyway, um,
Melissa as well.
Melissa, yes, she is as well. Yeah. Um, Water. How important is it to beer?
Well, I mean, it gets in your beer.
It gets in your beer. It's one of the 4 main ingredients in beer. You
There is
cannot
that.
have beer without water.
Eh,
Um,
Technically, in ye old times, some people used to drink beer for a meal and for their daily water supply.
well, I mean, that's how we technically got through the, Industrial Revolution.
Mhm.
That was a big thing. But beer, water, it's an incredibly important ingredient. It is
Mhm.
a key ingredient.
It is.
Have you ever tried beers from BC and
I've
beers
drank a lot
from
of beers from
Alberta?
BC. Yep.
There is some differences for some styles. Even if they're incredibly close together,
Mhm.
there are differences. The water makes a big difference. In fact, some of our some of the biggest companies, Molson, Labatt, Budweiser, etc.,
Mhm.
they their beer tastes the same no matter where you have it. And there's a very specific reason for that.
'Cause they're
Um,
all Busch Anheuser owned companies. They all
they're Yes, but the way how they make them, because they have multiple factories around the world, they use different water supplies.
Mhm.
So they have to treat the water to basically being the exact same.
Hmm.
So there is a technique called reverse osmosis,
Yep.
where basically they take a big tank of water and they rip all of the minerals out.
Yep.
I'm using the most lamest terms as I can because I'm like trying to explain it. I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, wait a minute, how would this actually work?
They they technically, they would do it through distilling and then adding minerals back into it in a
Correct.
very formulaic, way.
Yes,
So you
and
have your recipe.
yeah, and yeah, there are some small breweries that have that ability as well. One of the companies I used to work for, I'm lifting up my shirt as I'm wearing the company I used to work for, Snake Lake Brewing Co. Out in Sylvan Lake, they actually have a reverse osmosis machine.
Mhm,
So where they are ripping all of the minerals out, and why they're doing that is so then they can control the water to be any style of water from around the world. The reason for that is so that they can make some really like specific beers. German pilsners are actually probably one of the best examples. German pilsners use German water.
yeah,
German water is very specific. It
mhm,
has, I cannot remember the minerality of it, but it has a very specific set of minerals that make German lagers, German pilsners very specific.
mhm,
When using that and when making these beers, um, Snake Lake has won multiple gold medal awards for their Pilsner
mhm.
because it is as close to a German Pilsner as you can get in the province because
I
they
see.
make the water German.
So they throw all I'm picturing is because these reverse osmosis machines, they're
Mhm,
basically it's a still.
mhm.
Uh, water goes in, gets heated up, vapor comes up the top, deposits elsewhere distilled, minerals come out to the side, depending on the different temperatures that come in, and you can add your remix.
I believe it's actually a cold technique. I have to
Okay.
double check with what they have, but I believe it is a machine that does it with cold water.
Okay. So it would be dealing with the turbidity of the water then.
Yeah,
So based on the different temperatures, your turbidity is going to change. Certain things are going to rise or float and sink, and then you sieve it out.
base as far as I am aware, yes.
Cool. Yeah.
I don't know the full details, but yeah, it is it is the most amazing water I've actually ever had because I was when I was working at the brewery, I would go back to where the machine is and there's a little tap that we could just turn on and just drink like pure water. And it was the most delicious thing I've ever had in my life. For water, that is.
Nestle had a water truck that came through my hometown and
Mm,
would just dump it in or dump a big hose into the river that goes through our town and just
yep.
yeah, fill a water truck and off you go.
But Nestle's a whole other topic for a whole
Yeah,
other
those
day.
fuck those people. I mean, yeah,
Mm,
one
mm.
one of those things. So
One of those things.
speaking of water
Mm.
and
Oh, seamless transition time.
4 main ingredients and things like that.
Mhm, mhm,
You ever notice in the PHB
mhm,
the um there's been a lot of chatter, especially around the fledgling D&D community. I say fledgling of like just a couple of years. Where they're like, "You couldn't live on 2 pounds of food for rations?" I'm like, "Bitch, have you been ultralight backpacking before? Do you
We're
know?"
talking about rations.
Yes.
Awesome.
So,
Supply.
the general gist is that there is a, um, common belief that we're looking at a medieval time period for
Mhm.
high fantasy, and it's kind of not the case because you have the ability to make things ultralight and magic and blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
You have fabricate, you do what you like.
Exactly.
Artificers exist. The thing.
There's literally a spell called create food and water.
There is. And here's the thing 2 pounds of rations costs 5 silver pieces in the
Mhm,
player's handbook. And the equipment section aside, because that exists for old school D&D players that use the equipment section to play the game. Um, and it doesn't really factor in much to most storytelling driven games nowadays. But if you look at the economy of most of the worlds that you're in and what things are priced out as, a healing potion is 50 gold pieces, which is,
Yeah.
you could eat for a year on what it costs for a healing potion. They're very specialized things. They're a little rare, but they're very specialized. You are
Mhm.
the you are the richest bastards around.
I
Two
mean,
pa-
even the most poor adventurers have a lot of money when you actually think about it.
2 pounds of rations, which feeds an adventurer working hard in a single day, so it's highly calorically dense food, costs you
Yes.
5 silver pieces. That's a half a
Yes.
gold. So you could buy 2 pounds of rations, right? And
Mhm.
everybody's like, chew on my jerky, and like it's like jerky and hardtack and stuff. It's bread and jerky. No, it's not.
No.
It's not. Instead of those 2 pounds of rations, you could buy 25 chickens. You could buy 25 pounds of milled flour. You could buy 100 pounds of animal feed,
Yeah.
or you could buy a half a goat. And if you double up, the food carries itself.
Well, exactly. And from what I'm kind of gathering, what I picture rations as. And so this is me going into this as somebody who has actually not read the description of rations.
Mhm.
When I actually think about it, I think I maybe read it in 3.5 kind of
Yep.
thing. Um it's things like dried, like, I'm just gonna say like chili kind of thing. Like the bricks of chili or bricks of this or that, or literal just things that you rehydrate. You literally throw in a pot and you stew it. Things
Mhm.
like that. Like little bricks of food that you throw in.
So, 5e didn't do a great job of this. Um, 3.5 had actual like layouts of like, here's your different rations and what goes into it and things like
Mhm.
that. Ration packs were hard rolls, dried cheese, fruit, jerky, tuber vegetables like potatoes and turnips and all of that jazz, right?
Right.
So, um, when you look at the economy of scale for everything, at 5 silver pieces for 2 pounds of food, it better be fucking special food to warrant that kind of cost.
It's good berries.
It's it's something. Live food doesn't spoil. Carry a goat.
Mhm.
Do what you need to do. But why would you spend 5 silver pieces on these 2 pounds of food when you can buy so much more food for the same cost? And it
Mhm.
comes down to like, some of it is carrying capacity, and some of it is like, if you're going on a long journey, why would you ever buy rations instead of sacks of flour, right? Things like that.
Yeah.
And if you look at the world that a lot of these adventures take place in, when you think of like, I forget, you don't do a lot of like backpacking so much.
No, I don't. I am a soft city boy who does not know the country very well.
So, in soft city boy terms, there's these things called um, mountain house meals.
Mountain house meals. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a freeze dried meal that comes in a little bag that you open it up, you pour boiling water into it, you stir it up, you close it off. It's an MRE
It's
basically.
an MRE. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wasn't very far off with what
Yeah.
I was saying then.
The process of making them, it's basically a big brick of salt surrounded by food, right? So they're highly calorically dense.
Mhm.
They're very expensive. You spend damn near $10 a meal on these things. Like, if you're going backpacking, it weighs nothing. They they
That
weigh
makes
they weigh
sense.
as much as like 2 empty beer cans, and you've got enough mac and cheese to feed 2 people.
Yeah.
Um, you know, uh, uh, Townsend's is actually a YouTube channel that I subscribe to. A bunch of things that they've done are things like pocket soup. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, Riley.
Pocket soup.
Yeah.
I
So
I'm picturing what all of these things are, and they make sense to me what they are.
yeah.
The
So
amount of salt scares me, but
pocket soup is a ancestor of the Boolean cube.
oh,
So the Boolean cube is basically just like a powdered and then hard formed powdered version of
yeah,
pocket soup. So you would take a bone broth, and it had usually always a bone broth because it had gelatin in it from the marrow,
and that would solidify
and you
it.
would boil it down and boil it down and boil it down until you had what basically looked like fruit leather.
Right.
And it's dried, looks like fruit leather, but it's just beef stock. So you could throw it into a pot of water, and now you have actual nutrients and minerals going into a stock and making a soup taste good.
So basically, I'm just gonna just picture this out here for me here. Basically, you would make a beef stock. You would make sure that you had marrow or bone in the stock when
Mhm.
you first made it.
That
So
that
then
that
it
is how
would,
you make stock. Yeah.
yeah, that's how you would make stock, and you get that gelatinous kind of that the
The
gelatin.
gelatin. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Um, you get that into the soup stock, and then you boil it, you boil it, you boil it,
Mhm.
you boil it, you bring it down, you bring it down, you bring it down. You get it into a tar-like thing. You keep Do you keep boiling it at that point, or
Yep.
is it like
You
you pull
you
it
s you
out
s
at that
you simmer
tarish?
it into the bottom of a pan, and then you, like, put it on a lay it out on a flat surface, like a cookie sheet.
Yeah.
Put it in the oven and let it just, like, you fire your oven, you put it in, and you go to bed, and it just dehydrates
Oh,
everything down, right? Well,
okay.
you let the fire go out, and you let it kind of, like, slowly dehydrate overnight. Um, but
Okay.
yeah,
So
so
that sorry, we're
adventurers
cutting off each other here.
so adventurers,
Hmm.
this is an involved process that takes somebody it's not hard, it's just it takes effort to do these kinds of things. Same
Right.
with making fruit leather. Fruit leather is incredibly easy to make. It's really easy to screw up,
Makes sense.
but it takes a lot of fruit to make 2 pounds of fruit leather.
So if we're talking about 2 pounds of fruit leather, and I'm just going to throw math out here. This is
Mhm,
just me guessing here. Um, because I know
mhm,
jam is just as hard or just as easy to screw up because of the amount of sugar you're using, the amount of time you're boiling it.
mhm,
You can burn it super easy
yep,
because it is literally sugar on heat.
mhm,
But basically what the way I'm picturing it is you're doing the same process. You are just boiling it down, boiling it down, boiling it down because there's a lot of water in fruit. You
without
are
the sugar.
without the sugar, and you're trying to get it down as low as you can, and then you're doing the same thing where you're dehydrating it.
That's exactly right. It's about temperature control. So, you have an economy like Baldur's Gate, where
Hmm.
you've got a city and a port, and there's some farmland and then forests off in the distance, say.
Right.
The amount of fruit that it would take to the amount of raspberries, I'll say raspberries because they're the easiest way to go.
Mhm.
Blueberries and raspberries, blackberries. Um,
I want
the amount
blackberries
of
now.
blueberries it would take to feed an adventuring party for a week on fruit leather is enormous, enormous. Um, the amount of jerky, like jerky is a relatively simple thing to make, you know. Um, Jerky's been used by every civilization known to man.
I believe there was another term, pelican?
Uh, pemmican, pemmican is
Pemmican, that's what it
so
was.
pemmican is what you get when you make jerky,
Mhm.
and then you beat the shit out of it with a hammer until it turns into a powder. And
Okay.
then you mix that with um, still moist berries like blueberries,
Mhm.
and you make little cubes and cakes out of them
Okay.
because there's no water in the meat. It's relatively shelf stable as long as you don't get it wet,
As soon as you
right?
get it wet, you rehydrate it, it can get moldy, it's done.
Yeah. So you don't get it wet until you're ready to eat it. Pemmican
Makes
is
sense.
great, but it it's largely it all tastes like one thing, and it has the consistency of, like, munging through a shower sponge, right? Like, it's I've made pemmican before. It's just
Really?
yeah, yeah, it's a it it, ranger crafts are my hobby, we'll say. That's that's an easy way to describe it to the internet. Um, Jack of all trades is one of those
Mm.
things. You gotta try everything at least a couple of times. But
No, that makes sense. I have a
so
friend who says, "You have to try everything at least twice because you
oh, yeah.
don't know if you like it or not the first
Well,
time."
you don't know if you did it right the first time.
That too.
Hmm. So, you've got a specialized economy
Mhm.
that's creating specialized products specifically for the kinds of peoples that are crazy, that go out on these long adventures that are, insanely, concerned about weight.
Yeah.
So, you have, in a nutshell, the entire D&D economy when it comes to, like, food service, prep, and provisioning exists for ultralight backpackers.
Yep.
So, if I'm paying the same amount for, 3 meals that I could be paying for 25 meals, because let's be honest, if you could eat a whole chicken for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? Now, I'm assuming that in the PHP section, these chickens are probably alive. So, I mean, there's a few
Most
extra
likely.
steps, right? Or, like, 25 pounds of milled flour.
Mhm.
I could carry 25 pounds, um, in a wagon as easy as I could carry 2 pounds of rations.
Well, I was about to say, like, that 25 bag a 25 bag pound, oh my gosh.
Pounds is the word. Of
I'm out of
course.
practice talking in front of a camera.
It happens.
25 pounds of flour, like, you would not take that on an adventure.
No, but again, you don't have to buy it 25 pounds at a time,
No,
right?
you don't. No.
So you could buy 5 pounds, right?
Yeah.
5 pounds of flour makes a lot of bread. And you know what? You're taking a pot anyway because you're taking rations and pocket soup and hardtack. You know what you can't just sit and eat? Hardtack.
No.
Those hard biscuits, you will hurt yourself. You will break your face.
100%. Yes.
They're called soup biscuits for a reason, or ship biscuits. It's because you put one in a pot of soup and you wait an hour.
Yeah.
Eventually, it thickens it up.
Yep.
You
And then,
don't lose a whole
yeah,
lot of nutrition.
enjoy it. But yeah, no, but I mean, like, you know what? I could see taking 5 pounds of flour on a camping trip or on a thing because then you're making pancakes, you're making flapjack, like, you're making those things. You're making a flatbread because that's an incredibly easy thing to make.
Called bannock. You're making bannock.
Yeah.
Campfire bread. It's easy. A big one, when they talk about, like, typical rations and stuff, it's like, well, it's like jerky and nuts and dried fruits and hardtack and stuff, right? It's like nuts. Nuts are calorically dense foods that are reasonably challenging to gather, especially in large
Yep.
quantities, especially enough to feed a very specific uh, kind of adventure. So, what kind of nuts? Where are these trees from? Are they in season? Who's hoarding these nuts for these adventurers to have rations?
Who, like, and this is the thing that I've been looking into and stuff like that as I've been trying to work on my weight and stuff like that, is I've been looking into this stuff and then I start finding out the history of nuts and things like nuts are expensive for a freaking reason.
Yeah.
They are
Well,
some of the most difficult things to harvest in the world.
they're also not a very sustainable crop for a
No.
lot of things. Like, if you ever you ever want to go down a rabbit hole of, like, uh oh, I didn't realize that was super evil. Look up how almonds are made, or how, well, not how they're made, but, like, how they're harvested, especially in, like, California and stuff. Like, almonds are really bad. Farming almonds is really bad for the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. uh, cashews aren't any better.
Yep.
And
Oddly enough, Brazil nuts, pretty okay.
yeah, and yeah, no, but it's a funny thing. Like when you start looking into the manufacturing of all these foods, it's ridiculous, and especially a lot of these quote unquote superfoods,
Mhm.
these fad foods. Like, sorry, this is going off into a whole different tangent into everything here. Um, and people are going like, this isn't a D&D podcast. These are two crazy people who are going off on a tangent here.
But
As we bring ourselves back into the D&D world.
it's interesting because, like, in first or in second edition, I remember the
Mhm.
drawing for rations, and it was basically like, a gunny sack, like a burlap sack full of
Yeah.
potatoes. And it's all in black and white, and it's like a potato and an apple and some grapes and what looks like a half-eaten piece of pizza. It's supposed to be a hardtack biscuit, but I mean, it was
It
the
looks like
'70s.
pizza. It was
Yeah,
the
like,
'70s. People don't know what hardtack
and I'm like,
was.
"Why would you put a whole cornucopia thing of grapes,
Mm,
in with a potato and an apple in a sack?" That's not nutritionally dense for a whole day, and so there's a fellow on YouTube called Bob the World Builder. I don't know if you've ever seen
mhm.
his stuff.
I have not.
And, he's a very conversational channel. He's just like, you know, "How could I determine my actual strength based on, like, the D&D format of, like, okay, well, these are the jumping
Oh,
rules. Let's see how far I can jump and see if I can gauge what my strength's gonna be."
I've actually I think I've seen this guy because I think he did like he was walking a path. Like, how
Yeah,
far could I actually walk in 8 hours of
yeah,
travel? I
yeah, and
have heard of this guy. Yes.
yeah, so he did, like, "Are travel times realistic?" And they absolutely are, and it's like, well, you have to be in really good shape, and it's like, you know who's in pretty good shape? Adventurers. Ultralight backpackers. These people that have specialized foods that are
Exactly.
freeze dried and dehydrated for them,
Yeah.
and, you know,
And no,
I
that's absolutely true. Like he pointed out some really important things when it came to um the travel, and I was like, that's really neat, and that is a very good point because yeah, there are some truths and things like that with it because you don't think about it as you're playing, but like 8 hours of walking, that's a lot of freaking walking in a day.
yep. Well, even just like, so backpacking.
Yes.
Um, you said you've never done the West Coast Trail, right?
No, and it was something that I know I probably should do as a person from BC. Uh,
As a person from BC, I was like, "We should go do this."
mhm.
Yeah. For the people, listening at home, we are Canadian boys, and,
Yes.
British Columbia is the, westmost province of our country. Uh, you either get mountainous terrain full of rednecks, where I'm from, where you learn things like pocket soup and,
Yep.
you know, making
And
pemmican,
or you have me down
moonshine
in
stills.
or you have me down in the lower mainland, which is basically the second biggest melting pot of Canada.
Yeah, and it kinda smells like pee sometimes,
Sometimes.
but well, I mean, you're really close to the ocean there.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I
It
actually
rains
grew
all the
up.
time.
Yeah, it rains all the time. I grew up in basically a small seaside town.
Mhm.
I was right beside one of the biggest ferry terminals in BC.
Do you grow up near, like, Victoria or Port Renfrew or, like,
No, I was actually Tawasin.
okay, yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
sorry, Sawasin.
Yeah,
Let's actually pronounce it correctly,
that's fair.
because I'm not in Tawasin. I'm in Sawasin.
Well,
Peop
technically, you're in Calgary.
I'm in Calgary, yes, but, if funny little story, if you grew up in Tawasin, you were told that is how it is pronounced. That is not true. It is technically and correctly pronounced Sawasin,
Mhm.
because it is, a native word.
Just like Sutina
Sutina?
in
Yep,
Calgary. Yeah. Same
yep,
2nd verse, same as the 1st.
yeah. So Sawasin, actually very funny story. My mom, taught, uh, this will all make sense in the end. My mom taught Brent Seabrook of the Chicago Blackhawks.
Mhm,
Um, and he was a Tawasin boy or Sawasin boy.
mhm.
And he got hit real hard on the ice one day, and he went down, and the trainer went running out there. The first question he asked was, "How do you spell Sawasin?" That was the first question he asked him, just to
I
make sure
see.
he didn't have a concussion. But yeah, no, it's just a funny little story about Sawasin.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, um, uh, jumping back to Bob, because Bob does great content.
Yes, Bob.
So Bob did a could you survive on, you know, D&D fantasy rations? What does it look like to survive on 2 pounds of food? And it's like, all right, well, let's look at 2 pounds of food. What can I get? What's 2 pounds of rice get me?
2 pounds of rice.
2 pounds of rice gets you 2 pounds of rice gets you a lot of fucking rice.
That's a lot of. I mean, okay, because 500 grams of. Okay, I'm almost gonna like run into my kitchen and grab my scale and grab a thing of rice because I want to figure this out. But
So, um, if you're looking at, uh, like, cups,
yes,
that's 4 cups of rice.
that's a lot of rice.
That's a lot of rice. Not nutritionally dense,
No,
caloric reasonably calorically dense, but, you know,
that's a
how
lot of rice.
what about if you're eating 2 pounds of dehydrated butter? That's a lot of butter.
The
It's very
face I am
expensive.
making currently is just that of concern.
So, like, if you were to design, um, it here's the thing, I've been critical
Hmm.
of the player's handbook and the equipment section therein because, specifically, um, nobody in their right mind is going to spend 4 days worth of rations to buy a 20-pound tent that fits 2 people
No.
in an economy where they have the ability to make ultralight freeze-dried food rations that are, catered specifically to adventurers that are using these kinds of things.
Mhm.
In an economy where magic exists,
Yes.
where all sorts of fantastical things take precedent and make sense, why do you not have sil nylon style tarps? You have mithril. What is the mithril equivalent to a goddamn tarp? Why why is there not an oil you can buy, like, waxed canvas, and that's pretty good. Make oilcloth. It's not that hard. It's really not. 1 day's worth of rations, you could buy 1 square yard of cotton cloth. You know?
Yeah,
You go half
yeah.
on a meal, you got yourself a whole like, tenting setup, baby,
So
ready to
James,
roll.
are we saying that we're going to make rules for ultralight backpacking in D&D?
So I kinda already did. We played through Rime of the Frost Maiden,
Hmm.
little over a year ago now, and Rime did something for the first time that I'm like, "Oh, hey, this is kind of an interesting take." They're like, "Because of where you live, there
Mhm.
are no nuts in your rations. There are very few berries in your rations. Your rations consist of, like, um, the inner bark of some coniferous trees, boiled, shaved, boiled, shaved, boiled, shaved, so it's just a neutral carbohydrate, reindeer
Mhm.
moss, and dried fish jerky. Good luck." Like, they also they went pretty heavy on the whole, like, "These are snowshoes. You need snowshoes to be able to move around. Here's here's how much snowshoes weigh. Here's your
Yep.
carrying capacity for dog sleds," and I'm like, "That is not accurate. That is lowballing what these dogs can do."
Okay, dog sleds? Amazing.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So, uh, Ryan, one of our cast, he hated every part of this. He's like, "I'm a specifically design a character to not have to care about any of this. I will be a warforged, and I will be a warforged warlock. So I don't have to wear armor, and I don't have to carry things, and I don't have to carry food or water or breathe. No, this is not that kind of game that I like. Therefore, I will make a thing that doesn't have to give a crap about any of it. I
Nice.
will sit in an igloo for a month while you all fix your shoes and, like, eat boiled turnips, and I will be fine. Let's get back to the killing of dragons, please. That is a perfectly rational and fine way to approach that. Everybody
There are
else was like,
two types of D&D players.
I'm like, I wanna play a game where, you know, every ounce counts because I so often we forget everything that goes into the adventuring gear section, right?
Forget arrows, we forget
It
the personal equipment, we forget camping
everybody always
equipment, we forget.
focuses on arrows, but it's like, if you look at the weapons section of the PHB,
Yeah,
a great sword weighs 6 pounds, a great axe weighs 7 pounds, and a maul weighs 10 pounds. They all do the same, relatively, same goddamn thing.
smack something.
Well, for about the same amount of damage, but one
Yeah,
weighs 10 pounds and the other weighs 6. Why does it matter? Well, it's your damage types change. Okay, sure, but that aside, because, you know, let's be fair, doesn't matter that much in the long run.
no,
Um, why would you ever use something other than a greatsword or a maul, right? One or the other.
right.
Uh, if you're not like min-maxing feats and stuff like that. So I when I started playing and a big part of the game that I like is the kind of D&D that I really cut my teeth on. You didn't have class abilities so much.
Mhm.
It was and this is kind of why I like GURPS to a lesser extent because GURPS you can really fucking munchkin your way through what are you? I'm a psionic pyrokinetic dude with a lightsaber and sticks my rainbow dick in things. It's the
Sorry,
thing that happens.
that was, like, the best description of GURPS I've ever heard.
I the thing about
GURPS,
GURPS and
ridiculous.
we have the best proponent of GURPS in our chat right now.
Oh, yes, I know, I
If you wanna be a rhinoceros that is tactically trained as a combat medic, but is doing their best at driving a jeep while turning backwards and firing a ray gun out the window, while also practicing elite yo-yo skills. GURPS has rules for that. You
and I am
you've
aware
figured
of
out.
that.
You've figured
GURPS
out.
again, I one of my other jobs that I worked when I was, I think I was 22, 23-ish. I worked for a distribution company for board games and cards, etc., things like that. Um, but we had RPG books up the wazoo. So many RPG books from 1985 to 19 or to like the early aughts. Now, I had to categorize and put away all these books because we weren't selling them anymore.
Mhm.
But there was literally two or three pallets of these RPG books, and some of the old GURPS stuff, like GURPS first and second, because what GURPS is on its third or fourth now.
Uh, I would have to check with chat. It's been a couple of years.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what the most current edition of GURPS is,
yeah,
but
I can't remember. It was an old edition of GURPS,
mhm,
but like I definitely took some time and read through some of those old RPG books.
4th edition. There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I put away a bunch of like second ed GURPS and stuff like that. Um, just because we were packaging them up to send them off to another different wholesaler, basically.
Yep.
But it was
It's
crazy.
this so in an interesting sort of turn of events,
Mhm.
because we're jumping to a little bit more of a um, compartmentalized storytelling in this year. Mac's running the game that we're in, which is going to take place in our 5e D&D world for
Hmm.
Naylor. And then I'm running Indentured Adventures, which is you're poor mooks and you have no abilities. Everything that you have is given to you by the corporate overlords that have rented you equipment,
Yes.
and your equipment gives you all of these abilities.
I've been playing 2 games to get myself in the mood for this.
Hmm.
I have been playing Outer Worlds,
Yep.
and I've been playing, Warframe,
Oh
but I've
yeah.
been
Yeah.
playing a very specific part of Warframe,
Hmm.
the Fortuna.
I don't think I'm
Uh,
familiar.
they're they're the kind of indentured servant type people, who, get their who get repoed if they
Hmm.
don't perform their tasks,
You
and they
know.
get their bodies replaced with robot parts and stuff like that. It's kind of it's dark as hell because
Yeah.
that's kind of the Warframe universe. But
You know. That was one of the things I really appreciated about Firefly
mm,
was for the first time. It's like, are you paying for spaceship gas? Or are we worrying about this? And they're like, we're out of gas. I really appreciated that. Ken
and
actually ran us through a Firefly GURPS campaign that was a whole lot of fun.
that would be fun. Like Firefly is one of those really just fun kind of weird sci-fi universes that has a little bit of different. Again, my favorite thing that they ever did was the sound in
Mhm.
space.
Yeah,
Favorite thing. I thought that was such a neat thing, and it is correct.
yeah,
But before we continue, I think I'm going to open another beer for myself because
yeah.
I am out currently, and I would
Mm.
like one more beer. And I know we only have about 14-ish minutes left in the podcast, but
Oh, we've got some wiggle room.
yeah,
Let's grab something else.
yeah. All right,
Hold on.
Mom. I was about to say, yeah. All right.
One,
Okay.
two,
Nope.
three,
It
four.
just left my glass.
It doesn't count if you roll it on the ground.
No, I know.
You know.
Just like normal D&D rules, we don't count the floor. I have to re-roll that anyway because I already had that beer.
I see.
I only have 6 beers.
Well, you can just kind of count your way through it. R-
No,
Riley,
2,
Riley. All right.
2. I got 2.
So I've pulled something that I'm a little concerned about, but I'm a
Uh-oh.
little excited about.
Uh-oh. I mean, yes.
So this is a Calgary brewed beer. It contains water, barley, wheat, hops, yeast, cinnamon, nutmeg, maple French toast crunch ale by
Okay,
Village.
that is Village. Oh, is that the oh,
It's
no, that
just
is not.
it's just got maple like cinnamon toast crunch weaves all over it.
Yes, actually, no, if you take a look at it, I believe that's the name of it. Can you hold that can back up?
Yeah.
I believe yeah, that is the name there it's actually words, and it's
Yep.
I hate it. I do
Maple
not
French
l
toast ale.
yeah, but the actual like, the if you take a
Oh,
look at those are the words, and
I
this
I can see
is
them trying to do that.
they're doing this with their cans, and, I don't like it.
Okay.
It is and this is a thing just with me selling their beer and stuff like that. I think Village makes fine beer and
They do.
everything like that.
Some of my favorites.
However, this current graphic design thing they're doing, I think is not great.
It's fair.
And I'm going to say this because can you read what that word is?
I don't it doesn't look like it's meant to be words.
It is words. That is the name of the beer.
So, I see the word weekend on here.
That's one of the words on there. That's one of the name of the beers, or that's like part of the name of the beer.
It's not though. It says Maple French Toast Ale is the name of the beer.
That's the style. That's actually not the
Oh,
name. If you were to look it up on Connect, it
oh,
is not the name of the beer.
you see. Something weekend.
Something Weekend.
Hmm.
Their beer names are unreadable on their cans, and this is something that drives me mental when we're talking about beer. But anyway, that's a rant for another day.
Uh, you know, I'm still gonna drink it.
Oh yeah, no. It's probably going to be really good.
Oh, it's Weekend Ritual.
You
We
had to look it up.
I had to look it up. Weekend Ritual.
You should not have to do that with a beer. When
I
especially I can hold up this, and can
Yep.
you read that?
Well, I mean, you're a little grainy compared to my camera, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, here.
But
Here.
yes.
Golden gold sour.
Hold on, hold on. Oh, yeah.
There you go. That was a
Now,
good one.
okay, so I'm instantly reminded of Nintendo 64 and being at my friend Jason's house when I
Mhm.
was, like,
Mhm.
9 years old because his parents bought the cool cereals and mine didn't,
Yeah.
and, you know, I was expecting more cinnamon, and I got more nutmeg, but
Cinnamon does not come through in beers very well. It is a very hard thing to do.
but, yeah, oddly enough, I think I would appreciate this more warm than cold.
Fair.
And there are a handful of beers that goes with, like, any of the Unibrew stuff, I prefer warm to cold.
Um, that's fair. So
Yeah.
the one I got was from our friends out at Field House out in Abbotsford,
Mhm.
BC.
Nice.
This is a golden sour, 10%
That
peach
helps.
and lemon zest. Oh, that is delightful. Oh my gosh.
This is a 6.5%, and not bad. Not bad overall.
Yeah, again, Village makes decent beer.
Yeah,
There's not a beer from them that I'd be like, "No, I do not want."
yeah,
They make some decent beers, but they have some problems with their labeling, especially right
that's
now,
fair.
because it's driving me mental. I cannot read half of their damn beers.
It happens.
Anyway, sorry.
And to the comments in chat, Unibrew is delicious, and most of the time, Unibrew is sitting in a milk crate in the middle of a creek. But Unibrew is good enough that even when it goes warm, you still drink it. You don't have to it doesn't have to be cold to be good, it's just good. I mean, it
And
gets a little chewy, but
and you know what? You still depending on the beer, you have different serving temperatures for beer. You do
yeah,
not want all beers to be ice cold because it hides flavors. A lot of the times when you there's a reason why Molson, Heineken, Labatt, Budweiser, Bud Light, all those they say serve it ice cold is because it hides half of the flaws. Not saying that they have flaws because they're really well done manufactured beers if we're
mhm,
talking about that perspective, but they're not meant to be drank warm. They are not.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Hmm. So, I think what we need to do
Mm,
is come up with a good, high quality ration that makes fundamental sense. So when I was building Naylor,
mm. Yeah.
um, I was talking to Mac a little bit about this. Um, there's there are reasons for everything around the place that you're in.
Yes.
There are farmlands. There's a boatload of like livestock for those farmlands. Primarily because in the womb you subsist off of cheese and eggs for the majority of things, more so than like jerky or steaks or anything like that. The majority of things that you eat are chickens. It's a thing. They are very much a sustainable sort of thing.
It is a cheap protein that you get a lot of meat from. You get a lot of mileage out of one chicken.
Yep, it's a thing.
Yeah.
And when you have a pack of druids that are using plant growth on the regular, making everything just like bountiful and bloomy, that you ever grown potatoes?
I actually have tried, yes.
Okay. So have you ever done planter potatoes before?
Planter potatoes. Those are like the ones like just in a planter type thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you buy like you can do it in a garbage bag, you can do it in a like canvas tote.
I have not done this type of potato. I think we had russet potatoes, but we tried to grow.
Yeah. So planter potatoes. So they make like you know those cloth tote bags that you can get like grocery bags?
Hmm.
They make big round planters out of those that you fill with dirt, cut a potato in half, pop it in, and then in X number of time, you dump the planter out and you get your like dozens of potatoes out of it.
Hmm.
Plant growth basically triples that, and you
Oh,
get triple the yield of stuff through the spell. Um, so I put 12 of them down, and I got a metric fuck ton of potatoes out of it. I was trying something different, right? Like
yeah.
I've experimented with hydroponics and, planter boxes and vertical gardening and things like that. Like my backyard is
It's
a
an
whole bunch of
experiment.
a whole bunch of planters and trying different things cuz we got a weird growing season here in Alberta.
That's you know what? I will talk to you about that after the podcast because I was actually thinking about trying to set. I got like a very sunny spot in just underneath the deck that where I live,
Yep.
and I'm like, is it even worth it to try?
You need to grow the dank. I understand. Yeah, we'll talk.
Without uh, dank vegetables,
The dankest of vegetables.
vegetables,
Okay. I I think that needs to go in um,
the clips.
the s well, that's one thing, but, right into the description here, their
The
presence
dankest of vegetables.
in the dankest of vegetables.
Oh,
There we
frick.
go. It will live on in infamy.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, so we need to put together some kind of a
ration
good
for
realistic D&D ration. You ever been in like, done any SEC stuff?
no, but I have a few friends who have done that, and they've actually been to some of the big. There was a big meet in BC. I can't remember what the name of the meet was. But I had some friends who had done and gone that. Done
Yeah,
and had have done and gone that. Gone and done that. Jeez.
gone and done
W-
that.
What is with my brain tonight?
I
Ah,
I would blame the beer, but it's not one of those things.
no, it's not. It's just my brain.
So
Slightly worried.
a friend of mine, in Lethbridge,
Mm,
um, we did, a bunch of SEC stuff.
okay.
So, like, these are, tourneys, dress up in armor, um, you know, r
Delicious.
yeah, uh, growing rhubarb, Zoidberg noises.
I
That's
love our
edited
chat.
out. Yeah,
If you ever want to join the chat and just have us wonder what we're talking about when we just
apparently.
randomly say words, please join our YouTube lives when we do this. It's just fun.
Um, so there's a friend of mine in Lethbridge did a bunch of reenactment stuff, and,
Hmm.
uh, we went on a hike through Waterton in armor. Full plate, chainmail, shield, swords, backpacks.
What time of year was this?
Summer. We're stupid. Summer.
Okay. Okay. Just
Yeah.
checking. Just checking.
Full full regalia. Um, everything was uh it's like Ren Fair for folks that aren't familiar.
Hmm.
Or if you're doing LARPing. But you if you're wearing 70 pounds of plate mail and you go for a 4-hour hike, you're having a bad time. And the only thing that made it okay is that at the end, he had gone to, Dark Age, and he
Hmm.
had custom weapons put in and made for us. So I have a sword hanging on my wall up in Amanda's office, that was from a friend of mine that he left in the crack between 2 rocks for me to find at the end of a long ass hike.
Okay. Now I would be pissed at the same time, super just happy. Because
It was
finding a sword in a forest, god
mm,
damn.
it was a cool day, but it was a hot day.
Yeah.
A hot day,
Yeah.
and I already had my hands full. Yeah,
Yeah.
and, like, at some point, we need to do some period, or s you know what? I Imma take you LARPing. We're
Oh
gonna do
no.
this. We'll get
Oh
you
no.
we'll strap Ken into some kind of, like, um, apparatus so he can keep up. It'll be fine. We'll do some LARPing. It'll be a good time.
Yeah. You know what? You know
Our
what? You
wives can
live
laugh at
once.
us, it's fine.
I don't have one, so it's
Th
fine.
there you go. You've saved on the being laughed at.
Yeah, exactly.
It works out.
Don't
But,
worry. Our other friends can just all laugh at us in the same. It's fine.
yeah, I'm pretty sure Mac would not be down for that
No, no, I don't think
because it
so.
involves nature. It the biggest, I think, uh, interesting tidbit is that Mac plays a ranger, and he's the farthest thing from a ranger that exists as a human being. I love the man, but if you were like, "Mac, what do these flowers look like?" He's like, "I don't know. Why are there flowers? Where is the concrete? Where is my, like, you know, coffee shop?"
He
Oh,
doesn't even drink coffee.
doesn't even drink coffee. Oh, jeez,
No.
fuck,
Ah!
even more so. But that's one of those things.
Exactly.
This
No.
this this is where this is what lives in my brain rent free all the time
Yeah.
is these musings. But
Yes,
so yeah,
exactly.
we're gonna put together a realistic ration pack, I think,
Yeah, okay.
uh for what fits under 2 pounds. I have kitchen scales and culinary skills, and uh, I'm gonna try a Bob like video on YouTube. It's
Okay.
2023. I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna
Are
make
we
a
gonna
video.
do this? Are we going to make a thing? I'm gonna just come over with beer and we're gonna watch you make food.
I anticipate it to be a 5 to 6 minute YouTube video of me, like, trying to figure out how rations work. Gonna be a thing.
I'm bringing beer.
Alright, I'll make
All
food,
right.
you bring beer. It'll be a good time.
Sounds good.
Thank you everybody for joining us, for this rambly-ish episode of Roll for Beer, and,
This has been the most rambly, but I like it. This was
thank
fun.
thank you to both Apex Brewing and Village Brewing, not sponsors,
Yeah.
this go about yet. Reached
And
out, haven't heard anything yet. We'll see.
yeah, and hey, and also thank you to of course the Field House and Strange Fellows out in BC as well.
Mhm.
Again, not sponsors, just making damn good beer out in BC. So
I left the 0 issue, artwork down here because it's just
it's
bitching.
just been.
Yeah, throw them a little bit of a, "Woo!"
We end up using that word a lot, bitching, because yeah, that's a great way how to describe artwork on cans.
It it that is true.
Yeah.
Also, I wonder if I can here, I'm gonna see if I can do this without completely torching,
Oh no,
um
what are we doing? What are we doing?
hold on. Gonna see
Uh-oh.
if I can do this without completely torching the, stream. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Campaign. Maybe I didn't save it. One sec. Maybe I didn't save it. Oh, that's unfortunate. I'll have to find it again one of these days. Um, the uh, Zero Issue has a D&D beer called Campaign. And part of their thing was they were going to do a bunch of DM screens with it.
Oh,
Gotta
that's right.
gotta talk to Mark about that.
Yes, we do.
Um, they I'll see if I can pull it up on stream here. Campaign beer. There we go. Got it. Thankfully, they put everything on their YouTube channel. There we go. Whomp. Look at this majesty right here. And I'm gonna blow it up for the in front of everybody for the that's just like glorious. That is exactly what I want on my beer can.
I cannot wait to see what this is. I'm just watching the stream right now because I can't see what's going on.
It
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a dude, conquering a dragon and beating the bejesus out of it with a that
Some
looks like
kind
a
of
great
sword.
sword. I think it proved my point
Yep.
from earlier, but,
Yep.
you know,
Ah, that's great. That
one of
looks
those things.
awesome.
So, thank you everybody for joining us. We're
Yes.
gonna be back on Monday night. Mac's gonna be in the DMC. Reminds me, I gotta update stream elements for all that stuff. Um, 3 of the 4 characters on stream are going to be brand new that you've never seen
Yes.
before. Um, David has left us for, spawning. So we're gonna have Ryan back in one of the hot seats for a little bit,
Yep.
and we'll have 4 episodes of that. I'm gonna have 4 episodes of Indentured Adventures, which is kind of Outer Worlds in D&D format, you know,
And
battling
then
corporate greed and debt.
exactly. And then in March, because we're already talking about March at that point, I am going to be running a game and I am very excited about that. I'm going to be causing you guys to go all a little bit loopy, I think, and I'm very excited about
Uh, Tales from the Loop, I believe.
that. Is correct. Tales from the Loop, which is, by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say Tales from the Loop, look it up. The art is phenomenal,
It is.
and I cannot wait to do a Stranger Things like approach to it.
I think, I might be speaking out of turn. April and May, Melissa might be doing Doctor Who,
Yes, I think was that
maybe?
what she determined?
I'm not sure if it's gonna be Doctor Who or if it's gonna be Naylor.
Needl Needless to say, this year's gonna be exciting. We're gonna be trying a whole bunch of new systems. We're gonna be trying a whole bunch of things.
Mhm.
We just wanna see what kinda works, and we wanna have fun with our RPG. So
TTRPG is a lot of fun. It's not just D&D. As much as I love it, we're gonna try different stories with different things, and yeah. Um, in June, we don't have a DM yet.
nope.
We'll figure that out and see who wants to play in what. And then in July, David's gonna come back and we're gonna play some Star Wars 5e for 4 weeks. It's gonna be a good
And
time.
I love Star Wars.
I love how Melissa was so concerned. She's like, "But I don't really know anything about Star Wars." And it's like, "Then you are the best person to play in the Star Wars game."
Yes,
Because you know how many
exactly.
people know about that one ruddy kid from a sandy planet that went and murdered the president? Not a whole lot of people. I mean, stories are stories, but it's one of those things. So, it'll be a good time. We'll figure it out.
All
But
right.
let's call it a night and say, "Have a good night, everybody. We love you.
See you later. Like
We'll
and subscribe. All
like
that
and
kind of
subscribe."
stuff.
I haven't purchased a fancy animation to throw at the bottom yet that says like and subscribe, but
And
if
also,
you
yep.
yeah, you what? If you like the kind of stuff we're doing, please leave comments in the videos because it tells us the things you like and the things you don't like, things you want more of or less of, and we
It
can kind
helps
of
us out.
it helps us out.
Yeah.
Interactions are always a good idea.
Yeah.
Also, if you know anybody that likes this kind of stuff, please share it on your various doobly doos. And if you get that, you're a fucking legend. Um,
Yeah.
we'll call it quits, and we'll talk to you guys on Monday. Have a good night, everybody,
Good night.
and we're out.